Hi. What is this cerebellum stroke business? Why did I have a stroke? That's what I asked myself and searched, and for 25 days in the hospital in the pandemic. I was at work on Friday, March 13th, 2020. Everybody had left. It was Friday, and I just wanted to get a certain amount of work done so that I could go home and get my pajamas for the entire weekend. I was just tired. Looking back, I always kind of like woke up from sleeping for 9 hours a night and was tired. I woke up tired. But anyways, I was at work and I was just finishing up a report that I had downloaded, and I needed to put the information into the Excel spreadsheet. So I went to the bathroom while it was doing its thing and came back and started manipulating. But then I was like, oh, I felt so dizzy. And then I was like, I remember being like this, and then I put my head like this. And like when I was a kid, being on a roller coaster, you just feel all discombobulated, just weird, dizzy, and it wouldn't stop. And so I felt like I was gonna throw up, and I just laid my head on the desk. Well, that made it worse. And then I thought, well, I want to lay down. And so I was by myself, and I laid down on the floor, and I threw up immediately. And then I just had my eyes closed, and I was like this, and threw up 2 more times. But each time I moved away from it because I was thinking, if I pass out, I don't want to drown in my throw up. So after throwing up, I was able to put my legs like up and on my office chair. And I did that, and just trying to will myself to feel better. Didn't know what was happening at all. The dizziness just caused for my eyes to not be able to focus on anything. When I tried to focus, then the world was spinning again. And I don't know how long I laid there. And when I very first laid down, I had my phone in my hand, thinking I was taking it with me. And I was like sort of like searching around and realized my phone wasn't down with me. I didn't have health insurance, so calling 911 wasn't something that was on my agenda, I guess. I knew that my boss's husband and wife, they lived very close. And all I could think of was just to call them so they could help me. And also, nobody was in the building. I didn't know if they locked it. If I did call 911, how are they going to get in? And so I willed myself somehow to grab my phone, because it was at the edge of the desk. Like I didn't realize at the time that my right arm was going out. And so I was able to sit up just a little bit and reach with my right hand, and it was going like this, trying to get the phone. And so I grabbed it and like got my phone, and I'm like, and then it was the old kind of iPhone that had the button, and I was able to tell it, call Brad. not knowing that my voice was going out too. And I said, I'm sick, I threw up, I don't know what's going on, I can't get off the floor. And then he said, okay, me and Cherry are on our way. And whatever it was that I was telling him that happened, I could hear her in the background saying, it sounds like stroke. And I had only heard the word stroke before because, that's what old people have. And I didn't really know what it was at all. So on the way, she was talking to me on the phone and he was talking to me, and they got there, and as soon as she looked at me, she said, that's stroke. Apparently my face was completely white. I could not move or anything. And then he called 911, and the ambulance, paramedic people, they couldn't get me off the floor. I couldn't sit up. I was dead weight. So the offices are 20, what was it? Can't even remember any. 30 steps up to I was on mezzanine kind of thing. That was where our offices are. So they put me into an office chair and strapped me in so that they could carry me down to the main level so they could put me on a gurney. And I remember the one ambulance person trying to talk to me and get information, and I thought I was talking okay, but they couldn't hear me, and so he had to get his ear right up to my mouth in order to hear. And thankfully Brad and Cherry were able to know some things about me, and then my earrings were in, and so Brad had helped me get them out. Well, on this side, maybe it hurt, I don't know. This whole side was numb. And this side, I just remember like yelling out, ouch. It was really hard to get out, but it was hurting me. And they asked what kind of drugs I was on, because I was presenting signs that I was having withdrawals of some sort of or bad reaction to drugs. And when they asked me, I said, yeah, I'm on citalopram and Wellbutrin. And it never dawned on me that that's what they were talking about. And then in the ambulance, they asked me the same thing, and I told them, I said, I don't know what the milligrams are, though, and I take it daily. And one of the guys in there said, if I didn't know any better, because your bosses are here, it's presenting like you're having a reaction to drugs or overdose of some kind. And I remember thinking, well, no. And then in the hospital, Brad went back there with me because in the ER till my son got there. So he called my son, and he lived an hour away. So when my son got there, they asked him what kind of drugs I've been on in the past, and he said none. And it wasn't until Hunter got there, and everybody was saying none, and that they finally took me back for, I don't know if it was an MRI or a CT scan, but that's when finally I was diagnosed with having a blockage, and I was having a cerebellum stroke. And cerebellum is the little brain, is what they call it. So it kind of looks like this teeny tiny brain. Like it looks like your brain, but it's in the back by the spinal column. And I had a blockage on the right side. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was dire. My son was told that the next 72 hours were going to be critical of seeing if I could responded to their treatment. And I think it was some kind of sodium. There was no way to find out when the stroke started in order to have that. There was some kind of shot or something they can give you to, and when they think you're having a stroke. So I wasn't eligible for that. And so my son called his wife and said, bring the kids here. And then he was able to talk to them and tell them I want to take my kids in there. And he called my younger son, who was visiting his father in Florida, and I was able to talk to him and then my ex-husband, and it was almost like we were saying goodbyes and I love you and all that. I was in ICU for 5 days, but again, that night when the kids finally got there, of course they were kind of afraid. The baby was, she was a baby at the time, and my older granddaughter gave me a hug, and something about that just really pumped me up. I feel like even to this day, I love my kids and my mom and my grandma and everybody, but they make life worth living, those kids. And I have 2 best friends, and one of them is Rachel, and she is absolute godsend in my life. And then Scott, we're not, even though he's a male, we're just friends. And you have a true friend when you can talk to the person 2 months from now and not have contact whatsoever, and they're still your friend. You just start talking just like no time had passed. Your friend's busy, you're busy, all these things. There's no reason to say, I can't believe you didn't call me, and why are you calling me, kind of a thing. And I mean, it's something I definitely realized after the stroke. And then not wanting people to see me, I did feel close to a girl that I worked with, Cindy. I was in charge of the business other than the owners. I was in command, and they were able to go out of town. Well, my right hand was Cindy, and she helped with all of the production, and relied on her a lot. Never ever thought that I wouldn't be able to go back to work. In my head, I'm gonna get done with whatever this is, and I'm going back to work. It's probably a good thing that I was thinking that way, because after the 5 days in ICU, then I spent 20 days in a a regular hospital room, and teams of neurologists. By that I mean the neurologist had like his students and everything. And so I just kept asking, what is cerebellum stroke? I could move my arms. I didn't have total paralysis because I was able to see on the phone. I was able to tell it Stroke. But also my son had called my family in Ohio, and my mom and dad, they've been in divorce since I was 1, but my mom, my dad, my brother, and had flown. And March 13th was the day that it was announced that we were going into shutdown for a week because of the coronavirus. And so supposedly, I think it was going to be 1 or 2 weeks. But anyways, I was able to see my family, and they had to fly back early because they were shutting down the airports. And nobody was able to visit any longer. So they were there and not able to see me. And my voice was still trying to come back. And it was comical because I would tell the phone something and it wasn't picking up what I was saying. And like the words were all wrong. But what I was trying to do is, what is cerebellum stroke? There's nothing out there hardly. And and I kept asking, why did I have this stroke? They literally don't know. I have symptoms. I had been a smoker. Since I was 21 and I was 49 at the time, I had started and stopped smoking. I had recently stopped smoking like 3 weeks before, and high blood pressure, high cholesterol. There was something in my blood work that they were monitoring. But I had to relearn how to walk and talk and swallow, and threw up plenty of times because I was so thirsty. I just wanted to take a sip, this long drag sip of water out of a straw. So it's kind of like I'm obsessed with drinking out of a straw. But just taking my pills, I couldn't. It was probably maybe the last 7 days that they started trying to put me on the pill form of my medication, because through therapy I was able to get soft foods down. So I put the pills in pudding and then was able to somehow swallow the pudding. But I love coffee, and I was not able to really drink it because it was too thin. The back of the throat, you don't think about it, but you close that so that you're not drowning and whatever you're trying to drink comes out your nose. I do remember that part. And after the 25 days, then I spent a week at home, and my son thankfully had the week off of work, so he spent his vacation time taking care of me, and thankfully brought the girls, and I was able to be with them and see them. And just trying to walk with my walker in the little apartment that I had. And essentially what it does is you look at a step and it looks like you're on this big boulder and you're gonna fall. And that's how I felt all the time. Like, trying to walk outside is, even still, is difficult. I have to use a cane and a person. And so that was 2020. It's 2022 right now. But I wanted to start this because I searched and searched. What in the heck is a cerebellum? And thankfully, there are things coming out now. And groups, I had asked my son to put my phone in groups on the Facebook and make the fonts to where I could try to read. And then I got some reader glasses, and just if I'm this close, then I can see it. Looking at a computer that's like bigger and everything's going on, I have my nystagmus now, so this eye twirls, and it's something that if you look super close you can see it, but it's like essentially I have to close my eyes and stop being dizzy, and then try to read some more, and then get through, like, what is it saying, you know? And so I had just recently gotten a Kindle gifted to me, and I have it on the highest font, but it's been 2 years and I haven't been able to read a book for enjoyment, and just recently got this thing, and I forgot how wonderful it is to get into another world of whatever's in that book, you know, out of my boring life. And then things I want to talk about is when you're in therapy and they ask you, what did you used to do for fun? What are your hobbies? I didn't have a hobby. I had I suppose, stressful job, but I loved my job. I'm not the kind of person that can do one thing every day, all the time, just that. A Sagittarius, I guess that's in our nature, but until recently, I didn't know what the purpose of me having the stroke was. Why did this happen to me has been constant in my own brain, quite frankly. And so I'm still in discovery of that. Why? What am I going to do? What's this new life look like? I feel like I'm ready to date. But as I look normal, I don't have makeup on, but I look like a normal person. If I'm sitting here, you can't tell that I had a stroke. I have movement of my right side, and it tries to get better. I have these 4 fingertips are numb, just at the very top, and then this side of my face, like exactly. But it has gotten better after the stroke. I couldn't feel my forehead, the top of my head, like this entire thing. So this side of my tongue, exactly, that side of my tongue. So another misconception with stroke is if you have a stroke on the right side, then your left side is affected and you have no mobility on your left. Well, I'm like, well, that's not happening to me. What's going on? So I have found different doctors on YouTube and Facebook that have been able to explain better. So that little brain is, if you have a stroke on the right, then it affects that side. So that's all for now. I'll keep going. See you again.